want to focus now on a success story of people power, rejecting a rigged election and reviving democratic rule. The Southeast African nation of Malawi was designated Country of the Year by The Economist magazine in 2020. It praised the mass protests that helped toss out a fraudulent vote count and ushered in new elections, leading to the peaceful transfer of power to President Lazarus Chakwera. Despite all the accolades, Malawi is still facing multiple challenges, though. It houses nearly 50,000 refugees from across the region, many who have fled violence back home. And it also faces questions over how these refugees are being treated. Malawi is also trying to navigate a coronavirus vaccine shortage, complicated by the government's decision to destroy 16,000 expired doses. And then the persistent problem of corruption. Just weeks ago, President Chakwera fired his own Labour minister for allegedly misusing coronavirus funds. Time now for The Exchange, where we explain how the world can learn from Malawi's successes and also, of course, its challenges. I talked yesterday with President Chakwera, starting with a shortage of COVID vaccines. Take a listen.
In fact, what we are seeing happening around the world is a sign that multilateralism is the answer, because not one country can say we have overcome unless all countries do overcome. And we had seen how the U.S., the situation was there in Brazil, how it was there now in India. Africa is continuing to really fall behind in vaccinations, and because largely we depend on these pharmaceuticals that are able to produce vaccines, and Africa cannot produce their own, which is something we need to work on. But we believe that we must have vaccines accessible for everyone, or to everyone, in order for us to really do a death blow to this COVID-19.
The WHO, though, says that African nations should really use up the vaccines that it has already been shipped, regardless of whether or not those vaccines have expired. Malawi has said that they're not going to use expired vaccines on their population, despite what the WHO has said. Why not?
We don't want people thinking that we are selling just for anything that comes our way, even if it is expired. People shouldn't be thinking that we are a dumping ground. And so, in as much as we understand how that the efficacy of the same, it would still be there several months after expiry, we just need to be very, very careful so our people do not feel that they are being shortchanged by their leadership.
Okay, but Mr. President, I understand that a lot of African countries do have vaccine hesitancy. However, the WHO has said that these vaccines, even though they may be expired by a month or two, are still safe to use, especially given that Malawi and other African countries are in a very desperate situation when it comes to this vaccine rollout. Are you saying that you don't trust what the WHO is saying?
The WHO has been saying a lot of things that have not been accepted everywhere, uniformly. And so what we are saying is we need to sensitize our people, and it is our duty to be able to stand with our people so that we can move together. It's not a matter of trying to force everyone to take vaccines, but rather to lobby everyone to do that so we can save more lives.
I want to pivot now to corruption, and because of COVID and vaccines and PPE shipment, there are a lot of African countries that have been plagued with slightly higher rates of corruption in this particular environment. I know that Malawi, or your government rather, fired one of its ministers because of misuse of COVID funds. How do you make sure that corruption and graft does not become a problem in this environment?
When shortcuts are taken, more funds get stolen, or through corruption, you still have much that doesn't reach the people. Even though the state minister explained, and even the audit does explain that the money had been returned, nonetheless, we want to do what is right, and we want everyone to understand that we will not put up with anything that smacks of corruption or defrauding the Malawian people. And this is not just over COVID funds. We want to extend it to other funds, because our audits over the years have shown that much goes missing and nothing happens. And I do not want my administration to take this lightly.
You share a border with troubled Mozambique. Obviously, Mozambique has been dealing with a massive ISIS insurgency. Malawi is also part of the SADC, a regional group that has said that they are going to make sure that this militant group is quashed. How do you plan to do that? And how worried are you about security in the region overall?
Well, we're concerned about security in the SADC region. We're concerned about security in our own country. We're concerned because when one country's security is threatened, all of our security is threatened. And so as SADC, we want to be able to respond together to such threats. And Malawi wants to do its part. We want to make sure that our borders are secure, that our people are not corrupted by those who are involved in human trafficking. And so what happens in Mozambique does affect us, not just because we border with Mozambique, but they are our brothers and sisters.
And because of some of the regional instability, whether it's with Mozambique, whether it's with Cyclone Idai, there have been refugees that have fled into Malawi. There's been fears over the fact that there has been xenophobia targeting these refugees, and also some of these refugees worry that they won't be allowed to work in Malawi. Can you confirm on this program that you will grant people who have fled into your country, refugees, the right to work in Malawi?
Now, you must understand that refugees have been treated right and are still being treated right in this country according to the law. And we work with UNHCR, and we work with our neighboring countries. And if they abide by the rules, like that they would do in any other country, there would be refugees in, all is well. And so what we're trying to do is not suffocate them or abuse their rights, but make sure that everything is being done orderly and according to the law. So we do have a refugee camp, and they have passed through many other countries to come here. We want to make sure that they are legit, and to make sure also that they do not use Malawi as a transit camp to go to other countries just because they carry the name of a refugee.
A lot of these refugees, though, have been through really troubling times, fleeing violence, destruction, death, of course. And part of a way that refugees feel at home in the country is if they are given the right to work, if they are given autonomy over their future in that way. Are you saying that you will not grant refugees who come to your country the right to work?
No, that's not what I'm saying, and that's not what we are doing. Otherwise, then there wouldn't be 48,000 refugees currently in the country. What we are saying is, let the law be respected, let international protocols be respected, just like they would be in any other country. We are a friendly country, and we have so far been right with everyone, and we want them to be right with us. I'm just saying, as a nation, any other nation, they need to be able to work, and they need to be able to respect the laws in those countries, even as they do in Malawi.
President Chakwera, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, what a pleasure. Thank you for calling.
After that interview was recorded, we got an update on the refugee situation in Malawi that we think is important to bring to you. The government is now ordering thousands of long-integrated refugees back into the sole refugee camp in the country. Many have lived outside this badly overcrowded camp for years, setting up businesses and marrying local residents. The government says they could be a security threat. We'll, of course, keep an eye on this story in the days and weeks ahead.